Joining us now in the studio is Vincent J. Russo with another In the Legal Know. And this segment is for pet owners wondering what will happen to your pet if you pass away. Vincent's here to discuss your options and the use of a pet trust. So interesting.
Yes.
I think a lot of us don't think about this, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we're going to take care of Zoe today. That's that's your dog, right?
That's my dog.
And mine is John. And so,
John?
John, yeah. Well, he had a brother, George, and Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan. So
Love John.
John, absolutely. And so, yes, this is something that people just don't think about, right? Like, what happens to my pet? And pets are part of the family. People love their pets, sometimes more than their children. Yeah, and so it is important to think about the options for your pet. And so I'm going to throw out three options. The first one is to have a provision in your will or revocable living trust that leaves your pet to an individual and perhaps some money to go along with it. The second choice would be to work with a charity, either to take the pet and care for that pet or find a home for the pet. And there are organizations available to do that. And then the third option is the pet trust. Now, the first option, you're trusting that person when you leave money and the pet, but there's no legal obligation. So that's kind of the negative of just having a provision in your will.
Oh, okay.
And for the charities, you're going to have to do your homework, and some will require a contribution, like $10,000 or $15,000.
Really?
Yes. And so that's something to think about as well.
Okay.
So we like the third option.
The pet trust.
Right.
Okay. Expand on that, please.
Okay.
I don't know what a pet trust is.
All right. Well, we've talked about trusts, where we leave money in a trust to a trustee to take care of an individual. Well, it's the same concept in the pet trust. And there are statutes in all 50 states that provide for pet trusts. And so depending on where you reside, you would want to follow the laws of that state. And so it's you setting up a trust while you're alive, naming a trustee. You can put some money in it initially, like $10 or $100, and then fund it later, or you could fund it while you're alive. The trustee now manages the money to take care of the pet, can retain the services of a caretaker to, day to day take care of that pet, and then you provide for where the money goes if there's money remaining at the end. It could go out to a charity, it could go out to family members.
So someone could name a guardian for their pet in a will, but then have the pet trust so the money is there to take care?
Well, not quite. All right, so under the will, if you name someone, they become the owner of the pet.
Okay.
And then they can do whatever they want. They could give the pet away. They can do whatever they desire because they own the pet. With the pet trust, you now have guidelines in there. There's responsibilities. They can't just say, I'm going to get rid of this pet because I don't want them anymore. There's responsibilities that come into play with a pet trust.
Okay, tell us some of the advantages and disadvantages.
All right, so always there's pros and cons.
Of
so
course.
the pros, as I just mentioned, the pet trust is legally binding. So it's you can't just do what you want. You have to follow the terms of the trust. It's immediately effective. So what's important here is that if you name someone in a will to take your pet, if it takes 9 months to probate the will, what's happening? Or access to the funds to take care of the pet. So pet trust is helpful there. Lifelong maintenance. So you're providing for the lifetime of the pet. Personalized care, because you're going to put in instructions as to, what kind of lifestyle should the pet have? What is their diet? Do they get dog walks every day if it's a dog? All of this gets built in to this concept of the pet trust.
Wow.
And it can really give someone peace of mind.
Yeah, be very specific. Now, the disadvantages?
Right, some disadvantages. So let's look at those. First, it's a little extra money in the estate planning. Having a pet trust, you're going to spend a little money. It's going to be a little more complex. Talk about overfunding, though. When you put too much money in the trust, most of the statutes say the courts can reduce the amount. So let's talk quickly about Leona Helmsley.
Oh, right.
Right. And her dog, her Maltese, Trouble. She left $12 million in a pet trust.
Wow.
And she cut out some of the family members from her estate. They weren't happy. They went into court. There was a whole big proceeding, and the judge reduced the amount to a reasonable amount. Only $2 million to take care of trouble.
Take care of trouble.
All right? So the courts maintain jurisdiction over how much money is a reasonable amount if someone overfunds it.
Okay, so how does it work in practice?
Okay, so work in practice, very simple, as I said just a moment ago. It's an actual trust agreement. You set it up like any other trust. You choose a trustee and a caregiver. You can fund it today or fund it when you pass away. You should review it on a regular basis because you may have new pets and you may want to name them in the document, or your circumstances may have changed, or the pet may have different needs that need to be provided for. And then the key is communicate to your family, the trustee, the caretaker. Make sure they're all on board.
Right.
Just don't leave a pet to someone who really doesn't want that pet.
Right. It's like, when we choose a guardian for our children, we're saying, that guardian agrees that if unfortunately this happens, they will be the guardian. Same thing for the pet. Are you willing to take care of my pet, right?
That's right. And that's a great point. These pets are like children.
Yes.
And so all of the planning is to take care of that child, whether it's Trouble or Zoe or John.
Yeah, I've never thought about this.
Yeah.
So interesting. Thank you. Great information for all our pet owners out there. And we will see you next Wednesday, right?
Absolutely.